Humans have always had secrets. We have secrets from our friends, we have secrets from our families, we have secrets from our enemies. From the very beginning of civilization, people have needed a way to share these secrets safely. They needed to send messages that only the right person could read. Imagine two generals planning an attack. They must communicate their plans. But what if a spy intercepts their message? The battle would be lost before it even began. This is where the story of cryptography starts. It is the story of hiding messages in plain sight. It is the art. It is the science of secret writing. Cryptography is a duel between two sides. On one side we have the codemaker. The codemaker's job is to take a normal message, a plain text, and scramble it into something that looks like gibberish. This scrambled message is called the ciphertext. The codemaker uses a secret recipe, a key, to do this. On the other side we have the codebreaker. The codebreaker's mission is to crack the ciphertext without knowing the key. They look for patterns, they look for weaknesses, they look for clues. This ongoing battle has shaped our world in profound ways, protecting our privacy and securing our digital lives today. Our story begins in the ancient world, long before computers or even electricity. One of the first known users of cryptography was the Roman general Julius Caesar. He lived over 2,000 years ago. Caesar needed to send orders to his military commanders across his vast empire. His messengers were fast, but they could be captured by the enemy. If his plans fell into the wrong hands, his legions could be ambushed and destroyed. Caesar needed a simple, effective way to protect his messages. His solution was elegant and would be named after him forever. The Caesar cipher is a substitution cipher. The idea is very simple. You take each letter and replace it with another letter. Caesar shifted each letter forward by a set number of places. For example, shift of 3. A becomes D, B becomes E, and so on. When you get to the end of the alphabet, you wrap around. X becomes A, Y becomes B, Z becomes C. The secret key is the number of places you shift. Only someone who knew the key, 3, could easily reverse the process and read the original message. To an enemy soldier who captured the messenger, the ciphertext would look like a meaningless jumble of letters. For instance, attack at dawn becomes DDU, DFN, DWG, DZQ. Without the key, the enemy would be confused. As we move forward in time, past the fall of Rome into the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the world became more complex. Kingdoms rose and fell. Diplomacy, espionage became essential tools for rulers. Ambassadors in foreign courts needed to send sensitive political information back home. They lived in constant fear of their messages being intercepted. A simple Caesar cipher was no longer good enough. Everyone knew how it worked. Codebreakers had become more sophisticated. The time was ripe for new inventions in the world of secret writing. One of the most important innovations was the cipher disk, invented in the 15th century by the Italian architect Leon Battista Alberti. The disk consisted of two concentric copper circles with the alphabet written around the edge of each. The inner disk could be rotated. This was a brilliant evolution of the Caesar cipher. Instead of using a single fixed shift for the entire message, you could change the key as you wrote. This new type of cipher was known as a polyalphabetic cipher. It used many different substitution alphabets within a single message, making it much harder to crack. History is filled with stories where a single broken code changed everything. One of the most famous examples is the tragic tale of Mary, Queen of Scots. In the 16th century, Mary was a Catholic with a strong claim to the English throne, which was then held by her Protestant cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Elizabeth, feeling threatened, had Mary imprisoned. For years, Mary was held under house arrest, isolated from her supporters. But she was determined to reclaim her power, and she turned to cryptography to plot in secret. Mary communicated with a group of Catholic conspirators led by Anthony Babington. Their plan was to assassinate Queen Elizabeth and place Mary on the throne. They knew their correspondence was dangerous. If discovered, it would be proof of treason, punishable by death. They used a complex nomenclator cipher. It was a substitution cipher, but a very elaborate one. It used dozens of different symbols to represent letters of the alphabet. Special symbol for queen, special symbol for plot, special symbol for letter. Mary and Babington believed their code was unbreakable. However, Queen Elizabeth's spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, was one of the most brilliant and ruthless intelligence chiefs in history. He had a network of spies everywhere. He knew Mary was communicating with the outside world, and he was determined to read her letters. He intercepted the secret messages as they were smuggled in and out of Mary's prison. He then passed them to his chief codebreaker, Thomas Philippus. Felipe's was a master of cryptanalysis, a genius at finding patterns in chaos. He deciphered enough of the messages to understand the plot, leading to Mary's execution in 1587. For centuries after Mary's execution, the battle between codemakers and codebreakers raged on. Codemakers searched for the Holy Grail, a truly unbreakable cipher. In the 16th century, a French diplomat named Blé de Vigenère developed a cipher that came tantalizingly close. It was so strong that for 300 years it earned the nickname Le Chiffrage Indéchiffrable, which means the indecipherable cipher. It was a brilliant improvement on the polyalphabetic systems that had come before it. The Vigenère cipher uses a keyword to control the encryption. To understand how it works, imagine a large grid, known as a Vigenère square, or tabula recta. This grid has the alphabet written 26 times, with each row shifted one letter to the left from the row above it. To encrypt a message, you first choose a keyword, for example, secret. You write this keyword repeatedly above your plaintext message, attack at dawn. Now you encrypt one letter at a time. The first letter of the plaintext is A, and the first letter of the keyword is S. You go to the Vigenère square, find the row that starts with S, and the column that starts with A. The letter where they intersect is your ciphertext letter. You do this for every letter in the message using the corresponding letter from the keyword. This method uses 26 different Caesar ciphers in a repeating sequence determined by the keyword. The strength of the Vigenère cipher lies in its keyword. A short keyword means the pattern of ciphers repeats quickly, which a clever codebreaker might spot. But a long keyword, especially one that is a random string of letters as long as the message itself, creates a cipher that is theoretically unbreakable. For 3 centuries, this cipher baffled the world's best cryptanalysts. The long reign of the Vigenère cipher finally ended in the 19th century when a British mathematician named Charles Babbage, better known as the father of the computer, found a way to crack it. But as one chapter closed, another, more terrifying one began. The 20th century brought with it industrial warfare and new technology. Cryptography moved from pen and paper to complex machines. The most famous of these machines was the German Enigma, which became the centerpiece of secret communications for the Nazis during World War II. The Enigma machine looked like a typewriter, but it was a powerful cryptographic device. When the operator pressed a key for a letter, an electrical signal passed through a series of scrambling components, and a different letter would light up on a lamp board. The core of the machine's security was a set of rotating wheels, rotors. Each rotor had 26 electrical contacts on each side, wired in a jumbled way. As a key was pressed, the rotors would turn, changing the electrical path, changing the substitution alphabet for that letter. To make things even more secure, the Germans added a plug board at the front of the machine. The plug board allowed the operator to swap pairs of letters before the signal entered the rotors. For example, connect A to P with a cable. Every time an A was typed, the machine would treat it as a P, and vice versa. 3 rotors chosen from a set of 5 starting positions, internal ring settings, 10 cables on the plug board, produced an astronomical number of possible daily keys. About 158 million. The Germans were supremely confident their machine was unbreakable. This confidence was almost justified. The Enigma was a masterpiece of mechanical cryptography. Brute force testing of every possible key was simply impossible. The Allies were facing a cryptographic brick wall. While the German military communicated with confidence, a secret war of the mind was being waged in the English countryside. At a Victorian estate called Bletchley Park, the British government gathered a motley crew of its brightest minds. They were not soldiers but mathematicians, linguists, chess champions, crossword puzzle experts. Their top secret mission was codenamed Ultra. Their goal was to do the impossible, to break the Enigma code. Among these brilliant individuals was a Cambridge mathematician named Alan Turing. The codebreakers at Bletchley Park knew they could not break Enigma by hand. The number of possible settings was too vast. They needed a machine to fight a machine. Their first breakthroughs came from brilliant deduction, captured documents, and German operational errors. For example, some Enigma operators were lazy. They would use predictable keys, like ABC or their girlfriend's name. Sometimes, a message was sent twice, once in an old cipher and once with Enigma, giving the codebreakers a crib, a piece of known plaintext. These small mistakes were the cracks that the codebreakers needed to pry open the cipher. Alan Turing's great contribution was the design of a machine called the bombe. The bomb was an electromechanical device that could rapidly test thousands of possible Enigma rotor settings. It worked by simulating the action of many Enigma machines at once. The codebreakers would feed the Bombay a crib, and the machine would churn through the settings, looking for configurations that didn't result in logical contradictions. The success of Bletchley Park was a decisive factor in the Allied victory. The intelligence gained from breaking Enigma gave the Allies an unprecedented view into the German war machine. It is estimated that the work done at Bletchley Park shortened the war by at least 2 years, saving millions of lives. It was the greatest code-breaking achievement in history, kept secret for decades. After World War II, the world of cryptography entered the digital age. The invention of the computer changed everything. Computers could perform calculations at incredible speeds, making old ciphers obsolete and creating the potential for new, far more powerful ones. For a long time, cryptography remained the exclusive domain of governments and their secret agencies, like the NSA in the United States. All ciphers up to this point shared a fundamental problem. They were symmetric. That meant the same key encrypted and decrypted a message. The core problem was key distribution. How do you securely share the secret key? You can't just send it in an email. An eavesdropper could intercept it. You would have to meet in person, or use a trusted courier. Spies. Generals. This works for spies and generals, but not for millions of ordinary people using the internet. How could you send your credit card number to an online store if you first had to meet the store owner? A new kind of cryptography was needed. In the 1970s, a revolutionary idea emerged. It was called public key cryptography, also called asymmetric cryptography. First published by Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman. The idea was astonishingly clever. Instead of one secret key, each person would have a pair of keys. One key would be public, like a phone number in a directory. Anyone could see it. The other key would be private, kept completely secret. The two keys were mathematically linked, but you couldn't derive the private key from the public key. Here's how it works. Someone looks up your public key to send a secret message. They use the public key to encrypt the message. Once encrypted with your public key, it can only be decrypted with your matching private key. Not even the sender can decrypt it. Only you, holding the private key, can read the message. This solved the key distribution problem. No need to secretly share a key beforehand. Secrecy could be created out of thin air between two people who'd never met. The invention of public key cryptography paved the way for the secure internet we use today. It is the invisible engine that protects our digital world. Every time you see a small padlock icon in your web browser's address bar, you are using cryptography. This protects your passwords, credit card details, and personal information. Think about all the things you do online. You send private messages on apps like WhatsApp. You log into your online banking account. All of these activities rely on strong cryptography to ensure your privacy and security.